It is my incredible honor, and I'm so thrilled and delighted to be able to introduce these women. We begin with Genud, the first woman to win Monte Carlo. Let's keep this in perspective as to what this win accomplished. At that time, there were 3 gods of backgammon who had written the books. They were Barclay Cooke, The Cruelest Game, Paul McGrill, Backgammon, and Backgammon for Profit by Joe Dweck. It was Joe Dweck that Lee beat in the finals, and her accomplishment was massive. It would be almost 20 years later, 19 years later exactly, the year 2000, Katie Scalamandre took Monte Carlo. And in the finals, she beat, hold on, I gotta double check that. She beat Thomas Holm. Thomas Holm then and now is one of the great Danish players, one of the strongest players on earth. And that is who Katie Holmes, that's who Katie Scalamandre beat in her finals. The third and fourth woman to win Monte Carlo was Akiko Yazawa. Are you able to turn your video on at all, Akiko?
She has it on.
Please with sugar on it so we can at least wave to you and see you for 1/2 of a second.
She has
I guess
it
she
on.
will when she can.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can see her.
Akiko's first win was in 2014 when she beat Doug Mayfield, who many of you know. In 2018, she repeated it, being one of the very few people ever to win the World Championship twice. Her opponent in 2018 was a German whose name I can't pronounce, so I'm not going to try. I don't have anything more to say. You know who these women are. You know what they have done. You don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from them. And so I turn this back to April for our program. And I, again, express my extreme appreciation for having you ladies join us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So when I I came to backgammon in 2015. I found this backgammon world. And one of the first questions I asked were, where are the women? Where are all the women? And here they are. You know, it's really great to see all the women on the call. You know, Lee, Katie, and Akiko, we all really admire you. I know I did before I even met you, Lee. You know, we admire your win and your backgammon prowess. So maybe you guys can start out by telling us, you know, how you got started in backgammon. Lee, do you want to kick us off? And when did you start playing and what got you interested in the game?
Well, I had been a professional bridge player, and I went to a bridge tournament and I met someone that was very special, who was a famous, great backgammon player. And I fell in love with him in the game about at the same time. And it became my life very quickly and really totally changed everything that was in my life and the amount of effort and love I have for this game. It's more fun than anything.
Yeah. So what year was that? Do you know when you started?
I started playing, I think it was the end of 1971. When I wrote my book, it was 74, and I barely knew how to make a prime, but someone wanted a book. You know, so I had a lot of fun with it. I was able to teach all the movie stars in Hollywood and go to Playboy Mansion and see all the stars and teach them to play. And it was a wild and crazy, wonderful life. And it took me many places all over the world. I have friends, and to sit here tonight with all these people I love, it's just really heartwarming. I miss everyone.
Wow. Wow. Katie, what about you? How did you get started in backgammon?
Well, I started playing when I was 8 years old, believe it or not. My dad played, and he played in sort of gentlemen's clubs in Philadelphia, where I was born. And he decided he wanted a daughter who played backgammon. So that's when I started, and I played a little bit in college with some friends. And then when I moved to New York and started working, I was making more at night in the bars playing backgammon. than I would at my legitimate job in the advertising world. So I quit, and that's the rest is history.
So it's in the blood, basically, sounds like, with your dad. And so that was a big influence in your life. Your father inspired you to start the game. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I'm kind of curious, since we look up to you, at the time, who did you look up to? You know, who were your backgammon giants that you looked up to when you were first starting?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was involved with a wonderful man before I married my husband, Gene, called Walter Cook, who was Barclay Cook, who somebody mentioned earlier, who, I guess Lee, had written a book. And he was very, very helpful in teaching me improve. And then, of course, when I married Gino, he was very supportive, and we traveled all over Europe together. And he helped my game a lot. But the person I looked up to the most as far as a great player had to be Paul McGreal, because I felt he was just in a class by himself at that time. And I found him the most difficult person to beat. I played him many times and only won once. So he always had my number.
Wow. And what about you, Lee?
What's the question?
Who did you look up to? Like, who were your backgammon idols?
There were so many, because this is the days of the development of the game. And, you know, and of course, we all love and respect Paul, but there were so many. There was Jason Lester and Billy Horan. And I could go on and on about all the people that I admired and, you know, wanted to be like, Stan Thompson and Benny. But I was hoping that when we're seeing the women get together here and want to grow the game, you realize there were a lot of women that were very good players at a slightly different level in the 70s and 80s. But as Katie here and a lot of, you know, people at Patty, you know, we had Lynn Goldsmith, who was what we called Akiko of our days in the late 70s. She was a fabulous player. And Fran Goldfarb, Leslie Stone, who we did pass, was a great player. And in tournaments, there were very often 10 or 12, at least, out of the 350 players that were women. When the year I won, someone bet $100 at, you know, $1,000 at 100 to 1 against any woman winning Monte Carlo, and had to pay off.
Okay. Nowadays, we go to XG and we have books that are based on XG. But at the time, how did you develop as a player? What was your process?
Mine was imitation.
Imitation, yeah.
I mean, I watched somebody for every hour that was in the day until I could anticipate what they were doing and learn from them. I've hardly ever read a book on the game at all.
Were there very many books around that were good, considered good?
Until Paul, no.
And Paul, yeah.
And even there, we moved on a lot, but Paul was a major innovation. The game started out when the people just wanted to roll the big dice and be the fastest person. Now we know about primes and things.
Right, right. So, Lee, I know that you had quite a few wins before your 1981 World Champion win. You won the women's World Champion twice, and had quite a few placings in Europe and things. Describe to us how did it feel, like that moment when you knew you were, there's that moment in the match where you know that you've won the match after all that time grueling through all of the players. How did that feel?
I felt that rush after the last, you know, checker was moved. I felt very confident. I was ahead, you know, a bit for a long part in the match. But when it was over, it was such an unrealistic excitement. Just, oh my God, look what just happened here. You know, I called my children, who were very young in California, and said, "Hey, world champion here."
What'd your kids say?
Did you send money?
Yeah. Good things. Good things. Katie, what about you? What was that moment like?
Well,
When you won.
I was way behind in the match. I think I was down at one point by, I'd have to look, 9 points, I think. So I made a good comeback, and I think I ended up winning. I didn't look. I've been playing golf all day, and so I didn't look at any of this stuff up. But I think I ended up winning at 25-20. I think that was the final score. But as Lee said, until the last checker is off the board, I mean, you're not thinking about winning. You're just trying to grind it out. And it's never over till it's over in backgammon, as we all know. I mean, you can have somebody with one checker and, lose the match. It's a tough game. So, yeah, after the match, it was one of the most exciting moments of my life, for sure.
So we have a question from Marcy. Marcy, you can turn on your microphone if you'd rather ask it yourself. You're on
Sure.
mute. Okay.
Hi, Katie. Nice to meet you. I'm curious. I've never met you, and I've been playing, in the tournaments for a long, long time. And I'm wondering, have you given up the game? And if so, entirely, and why?
I never played another game after I won the World Championship.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
Well, I had kind of retired 4 years before and hardly played at all. And I went to Monte Carlo with my husband, who was still playing. And honestly, Mike Swobodny talked me into playing. And here, what are you going to do? Sit and watch? And I said, no, you're right. I guess I should play. But I really had been playing very little tournament backgammon. And so it was kind of like the last hurrah. So after that, I thought, well, this is really a good time to stop on top. And I was just starting, I went the opposite way of Lee. I had just started to play bridge, having never played bridge. And
so you
really
picked up another addiction.
Yes, I did.
Do you miss it?
I do, but it's so different today. My goodness, it's more like
Very
learning.
different.
And, I don't know whether I could go back, but maybe I will now after seeing all of you again. Who knows? Might be fun in my old age.
So April, I have questions for the champions.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Paulette.
What reactions from men when you win?
Oh, well, for me, mostly positive, I think.
I'm sorry?
Mostly positive, I'd say, for me.
Okay. Lee?
I found both. Mostly I found that men couldn't imagine that there was a woman alive at those days that could beat them. So there was sometimes huge angry, but as long as there was a suitcase of cash, that was okay with me.
It made up for it. That's amazing. And, these were 25-point matches. Like, we don't play those long matches today. Those were really long matches.
I don't like the short ones at all. I don't enjoy these like 7 points because you're always waiting for your next match. And one of the things that's made me disenchanted with the game is the waiting and the way tournaments are run now, which I understand why they do it, but I don't find it as enjoyable and less competitive for me.
Well, I had a couple questions, but yeah, the first one was just, what's the prize typically for the World Backgammon Championship?
I think when I won it, it was about $64,000, $63,000, something like that.
And what's the entry fee?
The entry fee is now $1,200.
Is it that, Patty, or 800? Or
1,200 euros now, the entry fee, and the prize is determined by the number of players that play. So we've had it up to 85,000 euros, and I would say it's been averaging probably about 60,000 euros.
And I noticed on Wikipedia that there's a Women's World Championship and an Open one. And obviously there's 3 women in this call who've won the Open. Are they held concurrently, or can you play in like both?
You can play in both. We have different events. We have a team event.
But those are
no,
considered side events.
yes, but not the Women's World Championship. That starts on Wednesday. We have
I'd like
one
to
day
mention
where
something that I forgot to mention at the very beginning. The year that Katie won the World Championship, Lynn Ehrlich won the second consolation of the advanced.
Yes, I did. And I just found my trophy as I was cleaning out my storage unit.
Oh, that's there. Can you show it to us?
Yes, I'll get it for you. 1 second.
Yeah, show it to us.
I think Mika won something, one of the consolations the year I won also.
And not to be forgotten, Antoinette has won the ladies' trophy in Monte Carlo last year, as recently as last year.
Congratulations, Antoinette. That's
Congratulations, Antoinette.
I have a question for Lee and Katie. I'm curious about the Calcutta. What happened in the Calcutta? Did you go off high money, low money? What happened in the Calcutta your year?
Well, I went off at pretty low money. As I said, they bet a lot against any woman winning. And I had been in the money in Monte Carlo 3 times, but not in the finals, consolation or something. But the Calcutta got up to, I think my year was about 88,000 of just that Calcutta money. Was much better than the tournament.
I didn't go for much either. I mean, it was always the guys, as Lee says.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my trophy that was in storage for many years.
Right.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
that's nice.
Hi.
This is the trophy, and this is the one that I won in Monte Carlo for the Ladies World Championship winner in 2011. I think I beat Antoinette.
Oh,
April,
beautiful
for someone
trophy.
about what a Calcutta is, it's an auction of the players prior to the event where people bid whatever amount, just like any other auction, to own a part of that person's winnings. It's a separate pool of money, and it used to be in all tournaments. I don't see it too much anymore, but it used to be a major part of the event.
When Louis DeYoung was doing the auction, okay, 1 year the auction actually went to $367,000. It has been dwindling down to a point that it was too much work for very little.
So it's the same as in the regular tournaments that it
Yes.
hasn't been nearly as popular.
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So Lee, you had mentioned that you've never read a book, but it was all about anticipating your opponent's move. Can you expand on that? How did you learn to do that? What tricks did you use to try to figure that out?
It's curiosity. I was watching someone play sometimes for days in a row, and that was a lot about what our lifestyle. So I would sit there to watch and learn the game. And first I tried to copy any play he did. I tried to memorize it. I'm a good player. And backgammon's more suited for me than cards because it's a in the moment game, not a memory game. And that's better for me. So, I just would watch. But after a while, I could figure out why that person was making that play. And then after I got a little better, I could say, well, maybe I like this play better. So it was a growing process. But I would say for 2 years, I watched more hours than most people have ever seen the game, at that point, the early 70s.
All right. Do we have any more questions?
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
What's the ratio for serious players? What's the ratio of studying versus playing?
Wow, it's a great question.
That's a good question.
I think.
Does anybody have thoughts?
I think someone like Akiko, who has studied so much more than I've ever thought of. However, you can never replace experience, which is time in the chair. So, but the game has evolved so much that if you don't study, you're not going to be a great player anymore.
Right.
What I hear from you, Lee, is that you study as you play. Like the whole thing.
That's how I do life.
Whole thing is a study.
Day by day life.
Awesome.
I personally think that a lot of the underlying of this part of our conversation is that women are different than men and think differently than men. And I know that sounds, a little sexist, but I think it's the reality is that people like yourself, Lee, and I also learn to play by watching and feel and instinct. And I don't read and I don't study, and I've done quite well.
Interesting. So Lee and Katie, what's next for you? I mean, what are you? I know, Katie, you do a lot of golf.
I do.
What's your next plan? Are you going to get back into backgammon? Are you focusing on your golf?
I'm hoping to leave my.
What's that?
I say I'm hoping to leave my house at some point.
To leave your house, yeah, that's my goal too. Definitely.
No, I don't have any plans to get back into backgammon, but you never know. Maybe I'll come to Monte Carlo, Patty. One last shot.
I would love it. We could celebrate together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
best thing though is we have to admit that if it weren't for COVID, we never would have all gathered on Zoom. We never would have started this Women of Backgammon. We never would have gotten the 3 great women that have won the world championships together in one place. So we have to take it from here and keep going.
Full.
There's always a silver lining, always.
Yeah.
And that's how one has to live.
Somebody recorded this. I don't know whether you guys can see it, but that's the world champ recorded my match. There's two volumes of these.
Oh, it was recorded.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
In those days.
Wow.
Yes.
Have you ever tried to put it in XG?
I don't even have it XG.
It would be so interesting to put some of the old matches in and see.
So we're kind of getting towards the end of, I think that we can allow everyone to open up their mics if you have any final questions.
Amelia, I think you had a question.
I just wanted to ask the world champion.
You speak up, Amelia. It's hard to hear you.
I would like to ask the world championship players what they would say to the new generation that is playing, or what they would say to get the new generation going on backgammon.
Good question.
Did you hear Amelia's
Good
question?
Amelia. Good question.
So somebody repeat it because I didn't hear it.
So Amelia asked, what would the women backgammon players say to the new generation of players? So Lee, what advice would you give to Amelia, who is a developing player?
I think you have to enjoy yourself. Choose your goal. If you want to be the best and you want to spend the time studying to be the very best, then you should do that. And if you want to enjoy it and have more of the old school of backgammon, it's a different way of approaching and it's a little more fun. I think we need a little social in our life.
Yes, I agree. I'm with you, party girl.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to have you on the call. Thank you so much, Candace, for arranging this. Like, you're amazing. And this all happened because of Candace. I have to just say, Candace deserves tons of kudos. She put so much time and energy into making this happen.
Candace is the best promoter I've ever met.
Yeah.
That's really true. That's really true.
There were 44 people on this call.
I was flipping the pages there for a minute going, wow, there's a lot of us on here.
Bye, everyone.
I didn't count us, but I was like, it was awesome.
You guys have star power.
So thank you so much for coming, even though you don't feel well. You look beautiful as always.
Hi, Akiko. We missed you. We missed you so much. How come I haven't seen you in so long? Are you playing poker now too?
No. Actually, I'm writing book.
Oh, really? For backgammon?
Oh, but,
outstanding.
In only Japanese, but maybe in the future I will write in English.
Well, they can be translated.
Well, it can be translated, yes.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
We would buy it.
How many books are you writing?
2.
Okay, great.
My 1 second. So this is my first book. And,
so it's already in print.
Oh, it's already done.
Like Backgammon.
Excellent.
Oh.
Fantastic.
How long has it been out, Akiko? How long has the book been out? 1 year? 2 years?
How long have you been selling it? Are you selling it already?
Already. You can buy this one on Amazon.
Okay.
But this is in Japanese.
Right.
Japanese.
So we have to take a Japanese course before we buy it.
My daughter,
I don't care.
My daughter can read a little Japanese.
No. Akiko will tell us in English what it says.
Right. We'll have a Zoom call every week, and she'll read us 5 pages.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh, it's hard work.
It is hard work. Are you playing much backgammon?
Not really because of the book.
Right.
Writing book is very hard for me.
Yes. Well, backgammon misses you. Backgammon's not the same without you.
I love backgammon, so I want to play many game against you.
Okay. I want to play against you too. So we have a date when everything is safe.
And I don't want to make you talk too much, but I'm super curious. The average person in Japan, would they know who you are? Just average. If you walk down the street, are you recognized?
So if the people love games, not only backgammon, many people knew me. But
if they're game players,
if
they're game players,
people don't like games, maybe.
Then they wouldn't know. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But you're known pretty well in the poker world in Japan as well, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, you're too modest, definitely.
So
you're killing them.
Some poker magazine
right
wrote about me, so maybe many poker players know me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you in about 2 years, I think. It's great to see you, and we need to play some bluff gammon.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to sign off. It was great. Thanks for inviting me, you guys.
Thank you so much, Joe.
March, April. You're going to play, aren't you, Akiko?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Joe.
Katie, it's so good to see you, girl. Katie and Lee and Akiko, it's so great to see you. I'm glad you joined us today.
Well, thanks much.
Katie, I want you to play again tournament.
Well, maybe Monte Carlo.
Ladies, I'm gonna have to take off here tonight, but thank you so much again. It's incredible to have all of you on these calls.
Yeah, this was awesome.
We'll keep in touch. We'll keep in touch.
So fun. Thank you. Goldie, for all the work you do behind the scenes, and April and
Yes.
Candace, and
Good night,
Akiko.
everybody.
Okay. Good night.
Really,
Nice to meet you.
good night.
And see you again.
Good to see you again.